In a few seconds, you are about to watch one of the most detailed and interesting near-death experiences. My name is Lauren, and this is Teenage Afterlife. A couple months ago, I interviewed Professor Dean Brinson, and that quickly became one of the most popular videos on this channel. There were so many interesting and thoughtful comments, so we wanted to make the full uncut interview available for you to enjoy. And remember, if you like videos like this, make sure to subscribe to Teenage Afterlife.
My name is Professor Brinson, and I had met my teacher back in the 70s. His name was Ishwasi Puri. He was Chief Secretary of the state of the Punjab. India has over 1 million people. So when you say Chief Secretary of a state, you're talking about maybe the population of the entire United States. He had 3 jobs, had about 50,000 policemen under his control, and was also in charge of the tourist organization. And I met him through a coincidence. He was much older than myself, and he was highly intelligent. And through this coincidence, he befriended me and gave me so much affection. I was totally impressed with his humility and with his love and affection. I met his family, his wife, 3 children. He took me on tour of different parts of India, and he told me about his spiritual teacher. And he ended up, before I left India, he said, sit down on a bench. We were in a park. He raised his voice and looked like he was shouting at me. And I said, are you angry? He said, no. And I said, why are you shouting? He said, I want you to remember what I'm saying. You people in the western part of the world, especially America, including in Europe, you think you know more than what we know. Did you know that all of the world major religion came from the East or the Middle East or the Far East? He said, we imported them. You imported them over there. And you got arrogance. You don't know anything about these people who founded the different religion. All of them taught basically the same thing. It depends on how far they went into the spiritual world. And you could only go as far as your teacher is gone. So after talking to me, and he said, did you know? I said, know what? That your capacity to go inside is based on the food in which you eat. I said, how can food play a role? He said the Creator made a basically 8,400,000 species. And he divided them broadly into 2 categories. The violent species and the non-violent species. And the human being is made exactly like the horses and cows and the sheep. They all have flat teeth, just like the human has, and they all move their mouth in a circle, just like the human being does, and they'll eat anything that grows out of the ground and doesn't run away from them or swim away. They made non-violently. They all sweat through the skin, just like we do. On the other hand, the violent species, they have sharp razors-like teeth, strong claws, strong jaw muscles. They can run fast, and they can kill an animal on the spot and eat it without vomiting. They made to be killers, eat everything. He said, but this spirituality that you're seeking, you have to adjust yourself to the way you have been made, DNA-wise, scientifically wise. So I said, wow, I understood that. And then he had a teacher who taught him that it's possible for every human being on earth has the capacity, the potentiality to actually get out of this human body, to vacate it and go into the higher world, go all the way up if their teacher has gone all the way up, see the Creator, and then come back and go to work tomorrow. I said, wow, I almost fell off the bench. He said, every human being is made like that. I said, wow, I can't think of anything better. He said, nor could I. No human being can think of anything better. They don't know they made like this. So he went into detail. And after so many years, I brought him over to America because I was teaching school. I taught at elementary, high school, college level. And I decided to make some money because I wanted him to come over here and spend more time with me. And so eventually I achieved that. So let me go into the future a little bit. Let's go back into the big experience. I had some experiences in meditation. So if people ask questions, I can go into some detail. But the big experience I had took place in the spring of 2019. And when I had that experience, I was with my wife. I was supposed to get a hip surgery on my right hip because I had a cane and I was walking with a limp, but I had postponed it out of my stubbornness. And she said, look, you're going to go get a colonoscopy. I said, what does the colonoscopy has to do with the hip surgery? She said, it'll clean out your system. I said, well, I've been a vegetarian, ate plant-based food for nearly 50 years. My organs, my veins are not clogged up with cholesterol. Plants only eat sunlight and water, as we learn in high school biology. Through photosynthesis, they eat the sun and they drink water and they give us all of the protein, vitamins, as well as strengthen our immune system from different diseases. She says, shut up your, I don't want to use these words. So
go ahead.
How wives can be if you're with them for a long time. And so she said, shut up. So as we got into the hospital, she put me in a wheelchair. I go up to the 4th floor to meet the colonoscopist. And we got into another argument about money. I said, I need to go to the bank. She said, I told you to shut up. We're not going to go to the bank until next week sometime. So I became quiet. I felt there was a lot of stress. And so as I was in the wheelchair, as she wheeled me through the door, I stopped talking and she kept talking. I noiselessly and painlessly died while in the wheelchair. I didn't talk anymore, so she kept talking. She noticed that I wasn't speaking, so she went into a state of panicking. She started screaming. The nurses and the doctors that were on that floor, they came, and she said, my husband is not breathing. What's wrong? And I was watching this whole process. I was out of the body, just like in the movie Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore, and Whoopi Goldberg in the movie Ghost. So my teacher met me at that time. He told me when I got initiated by him that I don't have anything to worry about because all of the initiates will meet their master when they die, if not earlier, in meditation. And so he met me, and he was still living at that time.
Oh.
Yes, as he escorted me out of the hospital, I was laughing, and he was laughing. And I said I tried to grab their hands because they were cutting off my expensive jacket. He said, they can't see you. Your hand will go through the body, just like we saw in the movie Ghost. And so he said, you can read their minds. I said, yes. My senses that all human beings are wearing, they get restricted by this body. The grossness of the physical body restricts us. Women have more intuition than men, but men can have it too. But in that world, you can actually hear what a person is thinking. Not only can you hear, you can actually see their thoughts as they form in their mind. So you can communicate through telepathy. You can use words if you wish. They add to the beauty of the conversation, but you need not do that. That world is one of truthfulness. In the physical world, people can deceive people. They can play a game, and we can't tell unless we have great intuition, and you still need verification. Because in the physical world, the physical world is made of uncertainty. According to Heisenberg, the great German scientist, who in the early part of the 1900s had a theory that there is no certainty in the physical world. He discovered this by looking at the smaller forms of particles in matter. And he said the particles, the electron that moves around the center of the atom, you can never tell where it is located. The causal direction and the momentum and the time frame cannot be determined. So that is the uncertainty principle. So Einstein improved upon that by saying time itself is unreal at that time too, in 1920-something, when he won his Nobel Prize. He said time will slow down the faster you move in space. It can get to a point where it'll stop. So let me go back to the death experience in the hospital. So as I was with my teacher, I said I wanted to see the sun. He said, let's get out of this place. Let's go. So since there's no gravity, we just went through the roof of the hospital, flew extremely fast, and I said I wanted to see the sun. He said, what's wrong with you? You see the sun every day. It's a boring experience. So we stopped there for a moment, saw it, a huge, gigantic explosion of nuclear energy, atomic energy, nothing but fireballs. I didn't feel anything, but I could hear the explosion. And he said, you see it every day, so let's leave this boring experience. So as we travel great speed, faster than the speed of light, we cross the entire galaxy as we know it. Trillions of stars, suns, moon, planets, asteroid, all kind of debris. We crossed it in just less than a fraction of a second. And then we went through a tunnel. As we go through the tunnel, I started seeing people coming out of the tunnel. And some of them I knew earlier in the 1700s, 1600s, even earlier. I didn't know everybody, but some of them called me by a strange name, which I recognized at that time because my memory was improving. And as they called me by this strange name, I responded. And they said, where are you from? I said, from America. What part? I said, Chicago. Well, we're going to be going to California, but we're going to get in touch with you if you come back. What's your phone number and address? I gave it to them, knowing that they would go through a river of forgetfulness. Everybody that takes birth in the physical world, not everybody, but most, they go through this strange thing which I call spiritual Alzheimer, where they can't recall. They came up with a word today which they call deja vu, which means vague memory. I've done this before. I've seen this person before. I've had this, but you can't put your fingers on it because of the Alzheimer that's there. Some children do remember. But let's go into me leaving that tunnel. After I gave them my address and name, I knew they would forget and get into the experience of deja vu. So as we get out of that tunnel, we go into the lower part of the astral plane, then in the middle part, where all of the heavens and hells exist. All of the heavens and hells in this world exist in that world. They also exist in the physical world. Everything that you see in the physical world is there too, but in a more perfect, in a more powerful way. So as we got into the heavens, which is the middle part of the astral world, it's a beautiful world. I don't know how to describe it. Everything that is seen there is seen with the senses. The senses increase in power and awareness because you're in a refined body made of very refined and subtle matter. It's called the astral body. And you can see in a panoramic, a 360-degree circle. You don't have to turn your head. You can see everywhere. Also, you can not only read people's mind, but everybody in that world is extremely beautiful and gorgeous. There's no ugly people there. You can create your own body and form it like you do in the physical world. Like I'm looking at your face. You got a beautiful face. As you get older, you'll probably put on Botox or go see a person who can do plastic surgery. People do that in this world. In that world, you don't have to do that. You just think. But in this world, you think too. Oh, I'm getting a little wrinkle. Let me go see this plastic surgeon. Or let me put on some lipstick and beautify my eyelashes. We all want to look young and beautiful. The average age of that person in that world look like they're in their 30s. Because in that world, you create your thoughts, you create your body through thinking there too, like you do in this world to some extent. And no pain is there. Everybody's nonviolent, full of love. It's a beautiful world. You don't want to leave that world. You get so much knowledge. Like in this world, we go to school, we go to colleges, and we learn by a tedious method of putting our attention on books. Let me read this book. Let me spend all night trying to understand Einstein's theory of equals MC squared. Let me understand chemistry. In that world, knowledge comes by infusion. You don't have to go through reading. You just look at something, and the knowledge embedded within that activity or that thing get infused into you, depending on how much concentration you develop in the physical world. Concentration and knowledge are connected. Even in the physical world, when people make great discoveries, like in the 1700s, there was no airplanes. There were no rockets, no telephone, no computers, no radios, no TVs. But as time went on, there were individuals who took birth, who had studied these activities in the astral world. When they came here, and with their great ability to concentrate, there was a door hidden behind his eyes, these two eyes, which cracked open a little bit. And the knowledge flooded them. They thought it was coming from outside. So they made these discoveries. That's how this world is evolving with all these inventions. All of the knowledge in this world is coming from another dimension through the door of human beings cracking open. There are human beings in that world. They have jobs. Some are scientists working on different projects, medical projects. They make medical discoveries. There's some people there, athletic, who are struggling with their skills. They take birth here and become rare athletes, making multi-millions of dollars in different sports. They just have that ability because they practice there. So you're doing practice here too when you come here. But some people have not practiced there enough to develop the super skills that those people have from there. So this world is similar, except that that world in the astral plane is a more perfect expression of the physical world. Say if you wanted to build a house. Let me go back. Everybody in that world will experience music. Everything is full of sounds. Like in the movie Sound of Music, which was made in America in the 80s, I believe. I saw it with Julie Andrews and the children who were singing with her. When she said the hills are full of music, everything is full of music. The mountains, the water has a strange type of intelligence, a life of their own, and everything is following the will of Lord. But people don't know what that music is. They don't know that it's God in a lower form of vibration there, creating everything. So as we move through that world is a huge world of light. Everything is lit up, including your body. You don't need artificial light outside through electricity or through the sun. Everything has its own light, and everything has its own intelligence. Matter in this world appear to have no intelligence, but it does. You can take matter such as ordinary dirt and turn it into gold if you know how to do it. You can turn it into silver. You can turn it into houses and take trees and all of these things with the concentration of attention, do these things. That's how this world developed. Furniture, wood is like a fuel. Plants play a major role in not only feeding us, but they give us fuel. They give us cotton and clothing. They are givers. They givers. And they humble, if I can call them humble. They have a life too. So if you eat plants, you become more calm. They got medicine. Just like all of the sheep and cows and horses, they're very calm creatures. They won't kill anything. They'll self-defend themselves. You don't mind going up to a sheep and paddling it if you got children. It won't bite, but if the child start pulling the tail, it may kick a little bit. They calm. But if you dare not, even a child knows it can't go up to a lion. The lion open up his mouth, the child get frightened. You see those teeth? The lion will bite the child or hurt the child. So they have them in cages when you go to the zoo. So I'm giving you information on how that world is similar to the astral world. The astral world got people there that are more intelligent, more wise, more loving. And there are administrators there, just like administrators are in this world. We call them angels. We call them different supervisors. And the big administrator, as the Greeks used to call in their teachings long ago, they call them gods, G-O-D-S. There are many gods. We call them administrators here. They control our destiny. Then you have a super god, like a president who controlled America. That president got different administrators, different departments, right? Department of Justice, and that world got department, but justice operates a different way there. People in this world can't see justice. They don't know justice is real. It's as real, or you can say more real than gravity. It's as exactious or more exactious than gravity. You reap what you sow. So every human being in this world pull out from the partial Akashic records in the astral world a destiny. And they're born with good and bad karma. Every human being has good and bad experiences here. And your job is to seek the Creator. How do you seek the Creator? There's only two beings in creation that's got free will. The ultimate Creator, out of knowledge, and human beings, out of ignorance. Our free will operate almost the same way. Therefore, the Creator loves us a little bit more. In these holy books, they say the angels are made less than the human beings. The human beings are higher because they have the image of God. When they speak of image, they're talking about the way in which we exercise free will. The Lord exercised real free will, and he creates the illusion of free will in us by, like a puppeteer, pulling the strings from behind the scene. And he puts so much concentration into the scene that we start feeling, oh, I can do this, I can do that. And we actually can do it because of his intensification of our will that we can't see. There's an old poet that I read about in college, James Russell Lowell, an English poet in the 1800s. He said it beautifully. He was talking about how the Lord is the puppeteer and how we are just puppets. Shakespeare said the same thing. The whole world is a stage and we actors upon the stage. Anyway, as I crossed that world, I wanted to meet the president of that world, one of the big gods who control the destiny, who control the karma and the Akashic records. He said, no, if we meet him, he'll want to ask me how he can go further up. And he cannot go further up. I would have to tell him he has to come back to Earth. And he doesn't want to come back to Earth, even though he's going to come back. It's like if you were born with great money and wealth, and lived in Hollywood, Rodeo Drives, and a mansion with all of the money. And somebody said, if you want to go back to God, you have to become poor, live a homeless life. You would say, no, there must be another way. But when you go to heaven, that's how they bribe you. They said when you go to the earth, you only going to be dreaming from there. And a dream only lasts a little time because time is different. Just like when you go to sleep in this world, you go to sleep for 8 hours. And my teacher gave me an example. He said, what if somebody came to you and said, here's a suitcase with $5 million in it, but you have to take this red pill. This red pill will not kill you, but you'll have the most horrible, the most miserable, the most horrific and painful dream experience. And then you'll wake up and the money is yours. Or you can take the blue pill and have a wonderful experience with no money. Most people, if they know they were going to wake up, they'll say, give me the red pill, right? Because money gives them the ability to travel, become rich, eliminates what they consider to be problems. That's how they bribe you in the astral plane. They say you're only going to be there for a little while. Take birth, become a Stevie Wonder, you'll be blind. Or take birth, you're paraplegic. Or take birth, you get hit by a drive-by bullet at the age of 16 or 12. You're only going to be there for a little while, and then you can go higher up. So they bribe you to come here to pay off your karma, okay? Because karma can be paid off in this world. Animals don't have to pay off karma because they don't exercise free will. Whenever you make a decision, you're exercising the illusion of free will, and that's the only way you're creating karma. So my teacher took me even higher. We go beyond that world into the causal plane. Let me backtrack a little bit. The astral world, with this stars, skies, population, is a huge world. If you were compared in terms of measurement with the physical universe, with its trillions of stars, asteroids, planets, the astral world or the physical world would be the size of a quarter. The astral world would be the size of the Pacific Ocean. Imagine a quarter in the Pacific Ocean. That's how size the entire physical universe we're in now as compared with the astral plane. A huge plane. As we left that plane and go to the causal plane, it's much larger than the astral plane. The astral plane would be like a silver dollar. And the causal world will be like the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean combined. That's how huge that world is. So we are moving around in this vicious cycle of birth and death. The only way we can cross the karmatic world, where all of the karma exists, where all of the Akashic record exists, is to meet a perfect living master, a PLM. That perfect living master is a rare being. And he said this world always has a perfect living master, but it may be only 2, 3, 4, 5, because the seekers are very few. Most people are not seeking. They rather get a house, buy money, get money, have children. They got all kinds of desires in their mind. They don't know what the real purpose is. They have many purposes, but these other purposes confuse them and scatter their attention. So anyway, as we cross that world and go into the world of salvation, that is the world where you really get to know who you are. Socrates says in one of his statements before he passed away, know thyself. That's where you finally realize that you are a soul made of the same stuff that the Creator's made of. But you still got 2 more spiritual levels to go to. The soul is trapped in the physical body, is trapped in the astral body, and is trapped in the causal body. These are the three bodies which keep the soul revolving in this vicious cycle of birth and death. So as we got into the salvation area, which is where the soul is, because you don't have to reincarnate anymore from there. So I said to my teacher, because there are no words there, words cease to exist after you leave the causal plane. Because the causal plane is nothing but a mental world, a mind world. So there's no mind there. You have pure soul. But you can't cross the other two regions by yourself. So I said, well, can we go all the way back? My teacher said, no. I said, why not? He said, you don't want to leave this region. This region is gorgeous. You can't come back. You're not going to have it that easy. You will go all the way back when you finally biologically die. I myself will take you back because I have to wrap you like a baby in my soul and fly through that world and take you back to your original home. So I came back. And I came back because of you, Miss White. And there are other people who pulled me back. I don't know whether to thank you or get mad at you. So I had to come back and share this knowledge with you and your audience. And at this time, if you have any questions, they can call me at 833 351 6222. Let me repeat that. 833 351 6222. Or they can contact me on my email address, P as in Paul, R as in Robert, O as in Orange, F as in Frank, B as in boy, R as in Robert, INSON @gmail.com. I would prefer that they call because I have a staff that can answer their question pretty quickly or contact me. But if they write on the other thing, then my staff have to come to me, get the answers, and they have to type it. It takes time. So they may want to go the shortcut route. Okay, so if you have any question or any of your people got questions at the time, otherwise they can talk to me now or talk to you or whatever. Okay?
Yeah, amazing. Well, I have a few questions if you don't mind me asking.
Go ahead. My job is to get into your head. I'm not a psychic nor a magician, but my job is to get into your head because you got the same consciousness I got.
Yeah.
And if I achieve that miracle, a light bulb would go off. You'll say, wow. You always say wow when knowledge comes. Ooh-wee, So go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, well, so my first question was, I heard in one of your other interviews, your friend, your mentor on Earth told you that he would be there when you died. Can you tell me about that conversation that you first had?
Okay, what I first had, that was during the 70s when I got initiated. And after going through initiation and doing some meditation, he talked to me about the experience I would have. And so I did achieve some of the experiences in the early stage. And he said, when I first heard there's a sound in the body, which everybody will hear. That sound can sound like electricity going through a wire, or the birds chirping, or the crickets at night, or like Christ said, the sound of the wind in John 3:8, where he's talking to Nicodemus. And he said, you have to be born again. He was talking about taking birth in another level of consciousness, just like we take birth here. So as you take birth there, you hear this sound, and it can take you to the first stage. So when I first heard the sound, it scared me, the big part of the sound. And I wrote him a letter. He was still in India. And he responded by saying, I'm going to meet you. Why are you afraid? Didn't I tell you I will see you and escort you? And you don't have to do anything but just listen. So as I heard it again, my faith increased. And when he came here, that's when I started doing more meditation. And I got so much happiness just by being around him. But anyway, after I died in 2019, I went to the office and talked to him again. He said, you going to be speaking? I said, well, I don't know anything. He said, all you got to do is talk without thinking, and the knowledge will flow through you. It'll be somebody else speaking to you, and you won't make a mistake. And you'll be able to answer all of their questions. And it may surprise you, too, how you can do this. That's how the knowledge will flow in the physical body. I won't let you see too much because you still will want to go. But you got a lot of work to do. You got your family to meet, people to see, and you got to continue to do physical work at the office. So that was my experience. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Another question I had was, you said that you saw in the tunnel, like people from the 1600s, 1800s, people from your past. Was that from your past lives?
Yes. See, a past life, let me explain that. When you go to sleep, like I'm speaking to you, you're in the wakeful state of consciousness. You're listening to me from the wakeful state. Your consciousness is spread throughout your entire body. It goes all the way down to your toes. But when you go to sleep, this is considered the sixth floor, right behind these two eyeballs in the head, very close to the pineal gland. But you normally fall from the sixth floor to the fifth in this area of the throat. That's where you dream from. That's where you start snoring at night. You don't know that you have a physical body. You're unconscious of it. And when you get into the dream world, three things happen. First, you become unaware that you have a physical body. And you lose a lot of your memory of the physical world. All of it is lost, actually. When you get into the throat area, you immediately, number two, create another body that you give to yourself. You normally don't look at it, but you think that's you. And if that body can feel, it's got all of the senses, it can see. And then you create a world. You can look in the sky and see airplanes flying. You can see helicopters. You can see birds, different kinds of species on Earth, dogs barking. You can look into the dirt of the earth. If you had a shovel, you see all kinds of insects buried there. It looks just like this world. You can see snakes, but you don't want to see them. They can bite you, but you won't die. You feel some of the pain. So your fear will make you run away from them. You can see a policeman telling people, don't jaywalk. Wait till the light changes to green. Don't just walk. I'll give you a ticket. All of these conversations are taking place. You can go into a restaurant and eat some food and drink some different liquids, and they'll taste exactly like they do in this world. But the texture and the quality and the intensity would be slightly less. And when you wake up, everything appears to disappear. The Creator is creating everything that way. All of the holy books that the Creator created everything out of nothing. He just used his voice in Genesis and things came into being. You create the same way, but you don't know how you're doing it. So when you wake up, the only thing that makes you know that you are at a higher level of consciousness is your memory comes back. The minute you wake up from a dream, you don't have to pinch yourself. You don't have to open up your eyes. You don't have to move your body. Your memory come back that I'm 16, 20, 30, 40, however old you are, that memory lets you know that you're in a world in which people are living longer than you or no more than 100 years of age. Same thing happens when you go into the astral world. Your memory comes back of thousands of years. When I went there, I suddenly woke up and I was 3,000 years of age. Nobody can question your memory, even in this world. Even if all of the psychiatrists of the world and celebrities came to you and said, Miss White, you look like you only 80. You said, no, these people are crazy, right? You know your age. So nobody can shake you. That's how strong memory is. That's how strong identity. So when you go to the causal plane, memory of millions of years come back as you go higher and higher. Then you cross time into the self-realization stage because the soul was never created. It is made of the same stuff as the Creator. Okay? Can never kill itself. Can never commit suicide. If you commit suicide, you will go to a reformatory school. The Lord is very compassionate. Just like if you had a child and the child, mommy, and she said, don't touch the refrigerator. Don't touch the stove. And when you're not looking, you'll go spank the child and say, you got too close to the stove. And it's, why are you whooping me? I told you don't do that. And if you have a third floor unit and you walk out and you see your child out on the veranda because the door was left open, who will experience more fear? You or the child? As the child get closer to the edge? You. Because gravity will not interrupt itself even if you pray. Karma will function. Gravity will not interrupt. So you'll experience more than the child because the child doesn't know. that gravity will pull it down and it can hurt itself or kill itself. But getting back to the heavens and hells, they are only temporary experiences. They don't last forever. They're meant to correct your behavior. So when you're here, you learn not to eat animals, because I already told you that early, and you learn how to treat people nice. And if you reach one of the highest stages on earth, you learn how to love your enemies. That's a high stage, okay?
Okay.
Because you don't have any enemies.
So when you were going through to the causal plane and you saw the Akashic records, can you tell me more about that?
Yes. You have to go far enough in the causal plane because those records are highly secured, okay? And once you get into at least the middle part of the causal plane, you start feeling one with everything. When I say feel, you actually can become one with everything. People become one with everything in the physical world, but it's not real. Like say if you're playing volleyball and your team win the championship, you say, give me a high five, because you feel one with them, right? You don't feel one with the opposition, but in that world, you feel one with everything. And it operates here the same way. For politics, well, I'm about this party, I'm against that party, you feel one. Birds of the same feather flock together. That experience, you'll never find eagles flocking with parakeets. You'll never find a parakeet flocking with vultures. Birds of the same feather flock together. Fish in the same pool swim together in the same school. We develop an association of these beings that we win if they're in the same species. That's how this world operates. Any other question?
So I suppose then you're saying that that's how it is here. And then in the causal plane, when you reach the Akashic records, you're one with everyone.
Yes, if you go into the middle part. But if you're in the lower part, then you can examine some of the records. But if you want to examine all of the records of everybody that has ever lived in the physical world, all of the consciousness, you have to go higher up. And that record higher up is controlled by that particular god. You remember in Greece, they said, Socrates said, there are many gods. They're talking about administrators. So, any other question?
I have one more. Can you tell me more about how exactly you came back and what it was like coming back into your body?
I said you come back. I came back because the people pulled me back without knowing it. I had to do teaching and lessons to tell them about this stuff. But when I came back, I just was in a hospital setting. The doctors, after doing their work with the tools and different instruments they put on me to bring me back, they thought they brought me back, okay? I don't let them think any other way because that's the way this world works. Everybody who clinically die and come back and with memory. If you want to read Dr. Raymond Moody, Moody, book, Life After Life, you'll learn about the sound that these people heard, but they don't know what the sound is as you read the book. And the sound is what take them out of the body and bring them back. Any other question?
No, I think that's all I had. I really appreciate your time, and this was a really interesting interview. I loved hearing about the astral and causal planes and then salvation. It was something I haven't really heard much about before, so I really appreciate it.
If you have anybody else on your program that talks about this, then you can ask them, how do you know you've had an out-of-body experience or OBE or causal projection or astral projection? They will not be able to tell you of the time of their memory coming back. Very few people, I said, have had these very high experiences. The world is made like this because there are very few seekers. It won't always be like this, but at this time, it's like this. So if you find out anything about those individuals, tell me what YouTube station to look them up, okay?
Okay, I definitely will. And I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed being with you. And one other question. Are you married?
I am.
How many children you got?
None yet.
Okay. Treat them well, put them on a plant-based diet. And if you want to get more information on this diet, you can contact Miracle Foods. If you want your children to grow up with great intelligence, these are all geniuses. You recognize some of them? Einstein, and Gandhi, Socrates on this side, over here. And if you can contact Miracle Foods, FOODS, global.com. And you'll see pictures of products made from plants, eggs, hot dogs, chicken wings with a skin on them. Everything is plant-based, no cholesterol. And you can order and we can ship to you. And you can teach your children this because food can make them calm down and their IQs go up. IQ is a flexible thing depending upon concentration of attention. So it's a pleasure talking to you and hope to talk to you again soon, okay?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I loved hearing Professor Brinson's account of his NDE. So thank you so much, Professor Brinson, for your time and expertise. And let me know what your biggest takeaways are from this interview in the comments. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe. Thank you.